Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around.
I'm gonna lose my car, lose our cars, lose our homes, lose everything.
Little GTO, you really looking fine.
That means that every car sold in the U.S. in the third quarter by GM, Ford, and Chrysler lost $500 a copy. Something, gentlemen, is wrong somewhere.
Okay, line 5, sir.
8 o'clock.
Yes, 1 o'clock.
I ain't never seen Detroit look this bad. I mean, I see some great days in Detroit. I mean, Detroit used to be a beautiful city, but I mean, they used to call it the Motor City, you know. And now they don't even call it the Motor City anymore. They just call it Detroit. That's all they call it.
Well, take, for example, at General Motors. When I left there, they shut down a whole building because of a robot. The whole building, they laid them off.
Could we get a voice? Is there some way that we could stage a national movement on our opinion?
What prevents us from developing a program where we use our own talents and abilities to say, well, wait a minute, we have these idle factories, we have these idle human beings who want to work, we have all these needs that are not being met, why can't we combine them?
We Americans love our cars, and we prize the system that produces them. That system is having problems, and a lot of people think that to move ahead, we'll need a new economic model, a model that all of us can help to design. I'm Bill Moyer.
Worse before it gets better. I know I'm having trouble feeding my family right now.
Nobody buying cars no more. For the simple fact that, you know, the economy, the gas situation, and it's a major crisis. The Japanese that took over the car industry. If Ford don't do something to remodel their cars and their style, hey, they're going to be just like Chrysler.
I would lose my house, my car, everything. What little bit of savings I've got, it would be gone. But I'm hoping to God that don't happen.
You know, there's a lot of people already laid off, and if any more get people laid off, boy, it's gonna be a crisis out there, boy. You know, people probably knocking each other in the head and carrying on, ripping each other off. You know, trying to live, man.
I think it's too much automation here, you know. That's why they aren't too many. That's why so many people are in the street now, because they got machines doing everything, you know. They laid off 20 guys yesterday. Everybody used to come to Detroit and say, well, we'll get a job in the auto factory. Now the people that even live here don't even have a job in the auto factory. You know, there's not very much to look forward to here anymore.
No man's a robot. He can only do so much well. Once you get past that quantity of work that he can't do well, you've got a sloppy piece of junk going down the line. And that's what's happening to auto industry in Michigan.
They've cut back so many men now that, man, we're doing a job and a half, each guy, you know what I mean? They've done cut back 400 and some guys, you know, and it's a lot of people, you know. If they think the economy is bad now, what is it going to be like when all them people are all laid off there? What are they going to do? It seems like the crime in that would obviously go up, you know. It would darn near make a Christian turn bad, you know. You ain't got no money and you got some kids. Now, you're talking serious stuff there, you know what I mean? You think about your kids, you know, and you almost couldn't blame anybody, you know what I mean?
The American auto industry is facing the greatest crisis in its history. Its very survival is at stake. The Chrysler Corporation, for example, on the verge of bankruptcy, has closed plants, cut its workforce, and pleaded for public funds. all in a desperate effort to survive losses now approaching $2 billion.
God, it's falling apart all it seems.
When the chairman of Chrysler, Lee Iacocca, asked for federal help last fall, he was carrying the hopes of a workforce of 115,000 men and women. He was also carrying on an established corporate tradition. For all its criticism of big government, big business knows where its interests lie in a mixed economy. Tax breaks alone now save companies $170 billion annually. Mr. Iacocca had plenty of precedent.
We need help, and we need it soon. We have to come to the federal government. I might say I come with great reluctance, but I come in genuine need to ask for a loan guarantee to support our efforts to try to restore Chrysler to profitability. We are breaking no new ground with our request. There are now outstanding, the number amazes me, federal loans and loan guarantees in the amount of $409 billion. Loan guarantees have gone to steel companies in the past, to chemical companies, to shipbuilders, to railroads, to airlines, to farmers, and yes, to small businesses. They don't call them bailouts, but they are in fact the same kinds of loan guarantees sought by the Chrysler Corporation.
The government is going to be into your corporation when you come this way and ask for this kind of assistance. Now, doesn't this fly right in the face of what you've been preaching so eloquently for so long?
It sure does. I've been a free enterpriser all my life. I come here with great reluctance. I'm between the rock and the hard place. I cannot save the company without some kind of government. I'm not going to preach to you, you gentlemen know this better than I do, that we had much precedent. But I have to say to you, at $409 billion, don't stop now, men. Go to 410 for Chrysler.
This plan is presented as though the only alternative were a Chrysler bankruptcy. We hear no debate about the alternative uses of $1.5 billion. At issue should not be whether or not the government acts, but how to act intelligently. If Congress takes the easy way out, the course set could be irreversible. Once committed to the extent of $1.5 billion, we will continue with more money to protect the old. Having bailed out one, it will be more difficult to refuse more, and there will be more.
Maybe this is the tip of the iceberg. I don't know. I think we're first because we're the weakest link in the chain. Ford may not be too far behind, but that's a national problem. We can't cope with it. As a country, I can't cope with it as a manager. I don't know what to do. The drop is too severe, and I keep laying people off. We last March only expected to lose $200 to $300 million for the year, and now we're coming in at $1 billion and say, what happened? The roof caved in. That's why we're here. So I hope I'm responsive to you because every day of my life, people are asking me, but how can you be a free enterpriser so long? Well, I think free enterprise, laissez-faire free enterprise, died a while back.
Washington did come through with $1.5 billion in loan guarantees because saving Chrysler also meant saving Detroit, the nation's 6th largest city. These days, none of our big cities could exist without enormous federal aid. In our mixed economy, the government also plays a crucial role in maintaining urban America, the corporate marketplace. Detroit now gets 1/2 its annual budget from Washington. There are also other special considerations. Detroit is the home of the politically powerful United Auto Workers, and the auto industry does provide about 5% of black America's wages. Detroit and Chrysler together reveal just how linked today are cities and corporations, public and private institutions.
Yeah, I'm ex-Councilman Ken Cockrell, returning a call.
Ken Cockrell is a self-proclaimed socialist and an outspoken member of the City Council who argues that when government helps failed industries, it should have a strong voice in their policies.
From where I sit, we shouldn't give Chrysler any free ride or any free access to public resources without an exchange, having the public represent it, and having the workers also get an equity position, if you will, in the corporation, and more control over the actual conditions of production. So my point is that Chrysler is a multinational corporation that quite obviously has the ability to shift production from state to state, from region to region, and for that matter, from country to country. And it seems to me that if we in government at all levels, the federal level, the state level, and the local level, are going to be asked to use publicly generated resources to assist Chrysler in maintaining its existence as a corporate entity that is organized to produce for profit, then we're going to have to get some equitable interest in that. So in other words, in my judgment, Chrysler is no longer a private corporation. It has become, as a consequence of going to the federal government and asking for the loan guarantees, a quasi-public entity, and there needs to be now infinitely more public representation as well as worker representation in the decisions of Chrysler as to what they will manufacture, how and where it will be marketed.
The United Auto Workers has won a seat on the Chrysler Board of Directors for its leader, Doug Fraser. But each worker had to give up $4,500 in wages and benefits before the government would agree to loan guarantees. Despite these contract concessions, the UAW believes Fraser's voice on the board will help the union.
I made it clear from the outset that I sit on the Chrysler board as a representative of the Chrysler workers. Well, when they talk about, you know, stockholders' risks and management risks, those risks are not comparable with the risk that is taken by a worker who spends his entire adult life working for the Chrysler Corporation. No one has a stake in the Chrysler Corporation that's greater than the workers. Well, when the loan guarantee legislation was working its way through Congress, I made no point, didn't try to hide the fact, didn't try to hide the point, that my interest was not the survival of the Chrysler Corporation as an institution, that my interest was saving the jobs of 133,000 Chrysler workers for the security of themselves and their families. That was my motive. 1 of 20 is just a start. It's just a foot in the door, and that's not adequate representation. The workers should have more representation than that. As for ourselves, we will go to Ford and General Motors and try to get representation in the board, because the critical principle is that the labor unions in America, down through the years, I don't know when it's going to happen, but they'll reach the conclusion that they cannot adequately represent their members. They cannot adequately protect the jobs of their constituents unless they are there where the decisions are made. And it's not enough for a labor movement to just challenge the decisions of management after the decision has been made and after they're irreversible.
The industry is changing its course belatedly as it moves from making the more profitable gas guzzler to small, fuel-efficient cars. But it is also downsizing its workforce by putting in robots and computer controls and by building new plants overseas, everything to cut costs. Detroit finally began overhauling itself when the market here collapsed and foreign imports took almost a third of it. The Big Three then put some 250,000 men and women on indefinite layoff and pushed unemployment in Detroit toward 20%.
I felt really bad, you know. It really put a big dent in my life.
How do you look at your future?
I look at my future that I'm gonna live every day that I'm out here, you know. I look at it every day. You know, I try to not make no plans because I don't know if they're gonna go through or not. But hopefully they will, because I got one kid, you know, I'm about to get married. I'm gonna try to make it, you know, trying to find me a job out here.
It's a rough situation. I was never so tired of loafing all my life. I watch TV some. Go to restaurants, drink coffee. In our country, we're finished. The computers and everything else is taking over. Part of my job is maintaining the automations on some of the presses. It eliminates many, many people.
How does that make you feel that you're maintaining the equipment?
Well, to see a machine doing your job, it's not good. I mean, myself, I'm not too much worried about myself. But, generations coming on, they're getting worse for them every day.
Tens of thousands of the jobless will never get back to the assembly lines, even though Detroit is spending $75 billion over the next 5 years to compete again internationally. Hopes of the retooled and automated industry ride on what it calls the world car.
Ford Escort,
Introducing a world car, a car that combines the brain power of German engineers, Japanese engineers, American engineers.
Small, fuel efficient, and made of interchangeable parts, the world car will be produced in different parts of the globe. Detroit will be running a worldwide car factory to supply the market here and everywhere. Computers interconnected by satellite will synchronize production on all 5 continents.
3-door hatchbacks, 4-door lift gates.
The Ford Lynx, for example, billed as American-made, will have a transmission from Japan, brakes from Brazil, steering gear from England, shocks from Spain, and engines to be made in Mexico. Recently, in secret memos, Ford executives warned against the political fallout if it became known that they were laying off workers in Cleveland and Lima, Ohio, and shifting that engine production to Mexico. Meanwhile, auto workers are being told they must boost production and the industry's profits, or there will be more cutbacks. Workers studying at Wayne State University's innovative weekend college feel squeezed between the company's demands for improved profits and productivity and the threat to their jobs that flows from more automation and buying of foreign parts.
In factories overseas,
Their own plight becomes the lesson of the day.
and in the United States. At the same time, components will be made in Europe and in the United States for that car, and the administrative coordination and automation and mechanization will be controlled by the headquarters of those automobile companies around here. One of the things that is important to keep in mind is that while Chrysler gets that $1.4 billion, it's clear that they have said that they have under no obligation to hire people in Detroit or hire people in Michigan. They feel no compulsion to move their facilities around. They're doing it and moving it to Mexico because it's cheaper.
I worked for Chrysler and I voted on that contract, and I know a lot of guys that didn't have much seniority that also voted for that contract. And they realized what was coming up also with the robots. And they accepted that, and with the hope that with the increased productivity and quality from those robots, that they would gain their jobs back. And that's why they did that. Otherwise, everybody was out, and they knew that. They were against the wall.
Well, take, for example, at General Motors. When I left there, they shut down a whole building because of a robot. The whole building, they laid them off.
I'd say it's a crossfire. If you don't get it, it's going to cost all the jobs. If you do get it, it's going to cost jobs. And the main objective is to stay afloat. So either way, it's going to cost you jobs, no matter which way you go. You got to stay in business. You got to make yourself competitive in the market. That's the whole idea.
But you're talking about from the executive end, aren't you? You got to be talking from that end.
I know that.
You're a worker. Whatever you have to say. If they want to put technology in, you're gone. That's like us trying to stop Ford, General Motors, and all from investing $28 million or whatever in foreign countries and making them invest it here. That's like us telling them to do that. You can't tell them to do that. You can't tell them to stop technology. So what are you going to do? That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, trying to get right to the crux of the problem.
I think you've all heard this song before. It's going to put us where we're at today and is keeping us here. A song about Detroit and the people that have lived and died so that we may drive 55.
Hey, give me my hard hat. 5 days a week. My old lady gets me up at 5. Baby, that hurts. I get out there on the E-way, brother, and I drive. You know that traffic is really a drag. Woo! Yeah, but I know when I'm there. But I see them big old orange smokestacks. Look at here. Just a filling up the air. All right. I got the Rouge playing blues. All right. Yeah.
bossman says. But I got to meet that public D-man. But I gave my life for 18 years, damn it. And 2 fingers on my left hand. That's right, count 'em. Now let me tell you something, y'all. Well, there's something you just can't lose. That's seeing stars and building cars. I call it the Rouge Plant Blues. All right. I got the Rouge. Oh, Lord, I got the Rouge Plant Blues. All right, come on now.
The Rouge Plant Blues, an apt song for Ford workers. But not all of them feel they have to accept the company's plans for automation and plant closings. These UAW members challenge Ford's overseas investment strategy and its plans for computer control of the workforce.
Yeah, it's interesting, Bob, that this new world car that Ford is supposed to bring out this fall is supposed to be the new lifeblood of Ford Motor Company and is supposed to create a lot of jobs for American workers. And it seems to me hypocritical of Ford's to complain about foreign imports when they're actually exporting our jobs overseas.
I don't think any of us want to stop new innovation, but what we want to be able to do is control our lives. And we're not the ones that are controlling it now. It's a few manufacturers that have the money and have the capabilities of just taking masses of people and putting them out on the street.
The fundamental question we have to ask is, will workers and unions be forced to pay the price of automating the automakers and of making them more competitive? So we see large central computers that direct and monitor how parts are made, how they're routed through the shop, where inventories go, how things are assembled, even the lights and the air conditioning. And the purpose of these program systems is, again, to try to tighten up on the workforce, to do what Iron Age magazine has called eliminate the last unpredictable variable, people.
Back in the early 1930s, they had Harry Bennett and his goons in Ford, and they'd have one of those people every 10 or 15 feet watching over workers to keep them under the thumb of management. Well, today, instead of having Harry Bennett's goons, they're going to have computers in there watching and monitoring every movement that you do, everything you do.
Management's efforts to get more control of its skilled workers goes back 100 years. Then, craftsmen, not managers or bosses, decided how the job would be done and at what pace. The man who began changing all this was Frederick Taylor. He realized that if production could be broken down into simple steps, power would be taken away from the craftsman. Taylor, now called the father of scientific management and time study, reduced skilled operations to basic, easy-to-repeat movements. Then he recombined these fragmented or automated steps into a continuous flow process, paced by management. Taylor wrote, quote, "All possible brain work should be removed from the shop floor and centered in the planning department," end quote. Henry Ford's assembly line pioneered in the use of workers as cogs in a machine, designed and run by time-study engineers. Now, with advances in microprocessing and computer control, management wants to take whatever skill is left out of jobs and have total command. Harley Shakian, a widely respected consultant on new technology, explained what the industry is trying to do.
In this traditional lathe, the machinist uses his skill and experience to translate a blueprint like this into the precise settings to cut the metal. Unlike Taylor's assembly line,
The complexity and varied nature of the job gives the machinist substantial control over the pace of the work. In contrast, this NC, or numerically controlled machine, is operated by a computer-produced tape. The programmer's instructions determine the speed and operation of the machine. For the machinist, it's cycle start. On the latest generation machine, the same information processing technology which guides the lathe can also monitor and record every action of the machinist, minute by minute, 8 hours a day. The machinist no longer takes his skill home with him at night. In the event of a strike or to avoid production bottlenecks, the company has the flexibility to beam the program via satellite to an NC machine in, say, Apollo, Brazil, or in Cologne, Germany. A machine like this can produce as many parts as 3 to 5 machinists working in a traditional lathe. The same computer technology, which is giving management control over tool and die making, threatens not only every auto worker, but secretaries, longshoremen, teachers, and engineers. The problem is not technology, but power masquerading as technology. Ironically, some computer technology could just as easily be used to give workers greater access to information and a more decentralized coordination of production.
One of the myths is that the unions and workers are against technology, and we're not. If technology can make a better product, it can make a better life, it can shorten working hours, or give early retirement, or produce socially useful products, then we're for it. The question is, how does management intend to use technology? And that's what we're concerned about.
And I think one of our real enemies is the whole question of thinking that what the companies say about technology is inevitable. What we have to do is really determine what our goals are and to say very strongly and clearly that unemployment is not acceptable, that to waste these precious skills and talents and the livelihood of people is absolutely not acceptable, and that we have to begin developing the strategies that give us the alternatives that we're speaking about.
Yeah, I think one of the things we could do is we could maybe take surveys in our plants and find out if there are any alternatives that our buildings and the machinery we have in those plants could be used for, like we talk about Cleveland engine and Lima engine plant being shut down and moved possibly to Mexico. Well, if we can't stop that move, we ought to find something else we could produce in these plants that is socially acceptable, you know, and instead of paying unemployment and sub to people, we could use that money to put people to work.
For a long time, people have accepted the decision-making power lying totally within the corporations without allowing people in the communities to have much input, without allowing workers in the plant to have much input. But the workers in the plant should have a definite say on decisions that affect their lives, and the community should have a definite say on decisions that affect the community. Okay, Frank?
Okay, I'll just read the resolves from the resolution due to the fact the resolution itself is very lengthy, but I think you'll get the message from this. Therefore, be it resolved that, number 1, no computer system be installed in a way that makes possible the time study, monitoring, or discipline of UAW workers. Number 2, union has full access to all information created by any computerized system. Number 3, advance notice be given to unions on projected introduction of any new technology. A new technology committee will be created in each local and unit whose responsibilities will include monitoring and projected introduction of new machines and systems and their potential impact on UAW workers. Therefore, be it further resolved that a major educational campaign be run for the entire membership and leadership on the central issues technology raises and the alternatives present to make it a positive force for workers and society.
The best thing about it is to start somewhere. From there, I'm quite sure we can come up with a lot more ideas. And canvassing the people in the plant and stuff will be excellent because, you know, knowledge is more power than anything. And I think they should be conditioned and be prepared to get ready, as they say, to fight.
That's right.
Because this is what it's going to take.
That's right.
The labor movement, I believe, will sit down and sort of analyze where we are and where we're going. And I think they must reach the conclusion that it's not enough just to represent your members by sitting at the bargaining table and just bargaining wages. There's things that are of critical importance that are now managerial prerogatives. And the only way you can really protect the people you represent and advance their interest is by having a voice in the decision-making process. There is no other way.
Really, the future trend, if we're going to do our job for representing the workers, is going to be to get into the whole area of industrial democracy much more. And we have to place people, and at least an equal number of people on the board of directors in different companies. And that you have to have a say from the highest level down to the lowest level on how that plant is run. It's a political democracy, but unless you've got economic democracy, how meaningful is it? Unless he has some right and say over his job, you know.
Industrial jobs in America are disappearing, and operations like Ford's enormous Rouge plant employ far fewer than they used to. Nor is it likely that we can deal with this simply by saying we're on the way to becoming a service society. Industrial workers understand the vital role of production in a strong economy. Those Ford workers and other men and women we met in Detroit are talking about the real world, a world that's pressing ever harder upon them. They've heard all the slogans and promises, and they know that there are no utopias. But they also understand that our system is not delivering in the way it used to, and they quite properly think they have some constructive thoughts to offer. We heard two simple but important propositions in Detroit. First, say the people there, let's stop acting as if the public and private sectors were alien to one another. Let's admit that one cannot exist any longer without the other, and acknowledge that if the government is going to be the risk taker of last resort, those risks ought to be taken as much for the public interest, for public goals, as for private interest and private gain. The second thing you hear in Detroit is this: how about a little economic democracy in the workplace? Why should the good ideas come only from the top down? There are no pat answers or quick fixes, but our economy hasn't been doing very well lately, and one thing is certain: the experts aren't getting us out of the mess we're in. Maybe it's time to start listening to the people whose lives really are on the line. I'm Bill Moyers.